I'd like to introduce you to this place. This is called Futura Studios in Rosedale, and I chose to make this a special one. This was a Masonic temple I built, and I don't know if you can see the fresco back there, but this is where I chose to do it. He's got this beautiful, classic Steinway concert grand piano, which I may find myself playing. So here's where we are, and this is what we're doing. Effortless Mastery started as something I would teach people, and I would say, hey, right there, you cared. And they say, yeah, how did you know that? I said, well, I don't know, I wasn't even looking for it. But that was exactly where they cared. And what developed from that is a weird kind of ability to notice as soon as someone was trying. But here's the point that makes it interesting to everyone, and this thing has grown quite a lot. Whenever you care, suddenly your performance alters. This is where Effortless Mastery started. When I do class, and if you come to our class, which we'll talk about today, the first thing I'll ask you is think about at the time we needed to sound good, how to sound. And people will usually do, now we have emojis, right? Very rarely did anyone say, oh yeah, when I put that pressure on myself, I just did, And they say, think about a time you didn't care that much. Maybe you were playing around with friends, trust you and you trust them. Maybe you were having a few beers, or worse, right? Maybe, some of you older musicians, you playing a bar mitzvah and no one was listening. And suddenly, you're just right in the groove. And I say, so think about when you didn't care so much you play. And then everybody goes like better, So I say, oh, great. We could actually stop right now. You all found the secret. All these years, you've been trying to sound good. And that's exactly what's getting in the way. Caring about how you play. You know that, you're never going to care again, right? And I can hear the laughter of all the people there. Even though you know that the exact moment you care is the exact moments you have to playing, you think armed with information, you just won't care again. And then you play maybe five bars, and you're caring again. And this is the beginning of it has become a real process. Like Alexander technique, like therapy, like Reiki, like anything come up, it is a process. And now we're talking about the exercises of effortless mastery. How do you practice this, touching the instrument without getting egoistically involved? Something only recently called sonic narcissism. Now you don't think of it as narcissistic. If you were looking in the mirror all day, how do I look? How do I look? I think that's what they call narcissism, but I'm not sure. I had to look recently because I was suffering from a narcissist. But sonically, it's okay to walk all day. How do I sound? How do I sound now? Oh boy. Oh gee. Do you sound good? What about those who I just played with? Did they thought I sound good? What about the audience? So it is a form of sort of sonic narcissism. Now there's nothing wrong with sonic narcissism. If it made you play better. And we would do a class on how to increase your sonic narcissism. This is not about philosophy, although it takes in the philosophy of the whole world. It applies it to the thing you care about, playing better, or playing freer. Practicing without judging yourself. Practicing without losing your, getting discouraged before you've achieved anything. Playing from a state of freedom. So what is freedom? Does this sound like, I want you to take your hands to the Himalayas and and do some kind of a retreat. No. What do we need to be free of? I would ask you, except I'm in a situation here, I would just say unmute. We need to be free of self-judgment, self-doubt, and we need to be free of the delusion, or the Sanskrit word maya, illusion or illusion. The delusion about music. So what might that be? Would be great if I could put graphics right now. The delusion in music is that it's more important to you. Because if music is more important to you, and you're always bringing a delusionary, what was the word? Even this, I'm having trouble with words. I'm not equal to it. I'm not worthy. Inadequacy. Sorry, that was the word. I've said to people I don't know, and they say, well, when I get to the instrument and blah, 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 but I say, feel inadequate, don't you? That is the first thing commonly felt. Not the musicians that you love, not the musicians that you watch. That's 1%, like the Wall Street thing. There's 1% of all the people who play music that when they touch the instrument, they're released. Hold on, I feel me coming. Oh. Nothing like when music plays itself. I promise you. So it's great when you see somebody that you really admire that they're playing. Of course, they could do that, blah, 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 but not me. I'm inadequate. I'm unworthy. All this so humble chat. It's not humble at all. Humble would be I play like shit, and I still love myself. Aha. I see a few friends, things over here. I'm so glad. A few people have been in recent classes. Because it helps me, you know? Did you know, for example, of course people say there are no wrong notes. It's very, very easy to say. But attain the state where there are no wrong notes, on whatever instrument. I'm sorry, I'm a piano player, but saxophone, bass, that looks like this. Guitar looks like this. Singing looks this. But it's all the same thing. It doesn't matter what your instrument is. It's the ego, lack of a better word, makes music something you judge your actual value by. It doesn't sound unreasonable, actually, does it? I played good. I'm a little valuable. I play terrible. Damn, no. This is even people who don't need music. They have another career. Even internet millionaires are afraid to confront their feeling if they don't play good. But from another state of mind, that's not possible. That is a place I have named in my book. You've read Effortless Mastery, and you should read the second one, Becoming the Instrument. It's really the same subject, but now it's what the subtitle suggests: Lessons in Self-Mastery from Music to Life. And what I'm saying there is, I don't know anything about life. But I know everything about life because I've got lessons from music. And of course, when we do this course, which is a 12 course, that means 12 weeks of trying to get rid of this menacing ego that no matter what new courses you take, you have a meditating class, you've gone to India, you do lodges, Hi, friends. I'm looking at you over there. Sweat lodges. You have a guru. You have a whatever. And then you get in front of your instrument, still feel inadequate. It's amazing how much more powerful music seems than life. So what we work on is removing the illusion, first of all. Very surgically. You know, you can talk philosophy forever. But without an exercise, nothing changes. A simple exercise, and without doing it regularly at least, if not daily, but regularly. I don't do anything daily. Well, I brush my teeth, and I use that as an example. If you practiced with as little attachment as you brush your teeth, you would practice every day, twice a day for the rest of your life. So the space is what I... There are many names for it in the world. Hashem, the Shakti, universal consciousness, superconscious mind. And then every religion has their own name. Every spiritual path, every holistic thing, and some people come up with a new term. Now, these days it's not about actually being good, but having good terminology. But you need exercise. For example, many people told me, I could check my email today, and someone will say, the book was written, I don't know, 27 years ago or something, 28 years ago. Somebody might say, thank you so much, I just read your book, it changed my life. As many of you might have noticed, it does change your life, but then it changes back. You can't change your life from a book, but if you're lucky, the book indicates a method for incremental, steady change. Reprogramming the mind takes repetition. I don't care what your issue is. You're an addict, you're an alcoholic, you go every day. They suggest you go every day. They suggest you call your sponsor every day. Why? What is it about repetitive nature? To reprogram the mind, something is going to have repeated. That has to do with anything to do with a thing. The exercises of effortless mastery, and some of you have taken it. And if you're wondering why it's dulled a little bit, it's because you need to start over, as if you've never done it before. The truth can be experienced, and I hope there's some non-musicians here, because I believe effortless mastery is ready to open it into larger waters. I do believe it can liberate people that aren't even musicians. The problem of not being able to get to your most beautiful self with an instrument is neurological. You could call it spiritual, but the longer I go, the more I'm persuaded that it's neurological. Because the truth is, every note I play is the most beautiful sound I've ever heard. Is that a belief? Is that God? Is it just a neurological understanding? Neurology plays quite a bit of a role here. For example, you might be playing at home and you feel like, I'm going to play you this Beethoven piece that I love. Just a few bars of it. Do you know this? Hi, honey. Is my wife in there? Is Lorraine in there? I hope she's enjoying herself. Lorraine came with me today. I'm so happy. So sometimes this feels like you've been making snowballs, and then you come in the house and without gloves, you put your hands in the water and you go, oh man. The other times it feels like a hot stove. How could the same instrument with the same mechanics feel so different? Neurology. Ego. If we take it to the spiritual point, I've been reading in this one particular path lately. I've been reading it in the morning. And I highlight sentences. And it just said, matter of factly, the ego, which is the world of delusion, or the spirit, which is the truth. On a level, everybody here knows that. I don't think you would have even been attracted to this webinar if you didn't know that. But how do you get there? How difficult is it? Does the word unlikely sound right? How about impossible? And even if you do spend a lot of your time, hello, trying to attain what you already have, please tell me you're hearing me. I mean, even I have my limits. Hang on. What was that? Everybody cool? Somebody do that. Thank you. Attaining something you already have, which is liberation. Hey, I'm looking at you guys. I just want to see if you enjoyed that. Wow, I could be done. It's that easy. It's that available. Everybody not only can have it, everybody deserves it. Music was intended to be a gift from somebody or something. Something that the human mind was capable of organizing sound into something that is quite amazing when you think about all the music. And I don't want to go too off into this tangent. But give a gift to humans and they'll figure out how to make a baseball bat out of it. And any of you that have subtly, maybe, punished yourself for even attempting to play music, let's put an end to that now. It takes incremental reprogramming. This course will cover 2 steps. The first 2 steps, and if you have the book, you can read the 4 steps. A lot of people enjoy the first part of the book because it's like, they say, what was he, a fly on the wall in my house, you know? Because yeah, I can kind of, it's a trick. Everybody got the same ego. They say there's more that unites us than divides us, right? First of all, I don't agree. But if there's one thing that unites us all, it's ego. Almost everybody behaves the same way when it comes to playing music. Punishing themselves. Then you have a good day. Then you expect too much. Then the next day is bad. All this stuff will be discussed because you need to know that the way you have been led around this pseudo-drama of music is pretty funny. So we will spend time laughing at it, but we'll also have a very definite way of reprogramming it. I'm going to show you the first step. Actually, first I'm going to show you step 0. That wasn't in the book. And only in the last few weeks I came up with step 0.5, step -1, and step -1.5. But I'm just going to show you step 0. You can comment on it later when we're talking or whatever. I think we'll put up the sound and if you guys want to talk. Step 0 is this. You're all breathing, right? Now, I don't even know you. How did I know you were breathing? I know it's a gift. No, that's my little joke when I do that. You're all breathing, right? Can you feel about where you're breathing? This is resolutely unspiritual, okay? So those of you who are getting ready to close your eyes, don't. If you were picking your nose, continue to pick your nose, okay? Can you feel about where this breathing thing is? There's a gizmo somewhere around here. And it breathes. You don't even breathe. So please, in your mind's eye, just locate it. Okay, now, for 20 seconds, Only 20 seconds. When I say go, I want you to watch it breathe, okay? And then, don't do it yet. And when I say stop, just stop doing it. Don't get into a samadhi or some sort of super conscious hullabaloo. When I say stop, just stop watching it. Everybody ready? Go. And stop. Don't try to keep it going. That's the devil again. Just stop. That blessed state of not thinking. You leave it before it leaves you. It takes a lazy person to discover this stuff. It's been said that necessity is the mother of invention. I disagree. Laziness is the mother of invention. Exhibit A, the wheel. Did they really need it? They were already moving stuff around for 1,000 years. Why did someone invent the wheel? As a Jewish comedian from the Catskill would say, they were tired of walking. Anyway, I'm joking. Yeah, I wanted to find my lack of commitment and honor it. I want you to find your lack of talent and celebrate it. I want you to find the limitations you become so comfortable with and celebrate them. Let's not try to change. Step 0 doesn't change anything. It interrupts the delusion. Do it again. Just watch it breathe. Go. Do not close your eyes, because don't confuse this with meditation. That would be something in my neurology under the category, I don't meditate very well. But anybody can watch this little gizmo. And stop. That's what I call the space. The first step, just to truncate this a little bit, because I don't want this webinar to be for 12 weeks. I don't think everybody's got 12 weeks to stay online. And I don't know how good my battery is. No, I'm kidding. Now, we start practicing that instead of buying into the delusions. It gets very interesting. It gets to be more about life than music, but let's keep it with music. I'm sitting in front of my keyboard. Do I anticipate playing it, or do I watch it breathe? In this lies a complete innovation for the evolution, not of music, which is completely unimportant, and not of instruments, in case my friend Roland is here. The evolution of the person, the musician. To understand that there's nothing they can play that doesn't make them God. Sorry, that's some language from something else I study. Now, I'm watching myself breathe. I feel energy in my right arm. It's raising. Now I feel the fingertips touching the keys. It's more of a tactile sensation. The keys are very cold and very slippery. Now, if I am thinking about, oh man, I gotta play, or if I'm thinking, I drop my hand. And I go back to locating. We work on the breathing, then we work on locating the breathing when we're in front of our ego mirror. Otherwise known as your instrument. So here I am, I'm watching it breathe, right? I hope you guys have seen this in John, because I'm so happy again that my wife Lorraine is here. And as I'm doing this, honey, I just want to tell you I love you. So now my hand is here, and I'm more thinking about loving my wife than I am the fact that I'm about to press a button on the ego mirror. So I never used that term before. Now, if I'm still watching the breathing, I lift my thumb. Well, that was a great shot, whatever you were doing there, John. If I'm still watching my breathing, I drop the finger. If I'm still at least not, and there are more things, we don't just watch the breath. There's spacing out. There's a few other things we'll work on. The idea is, wherever you are, you're not here. Because here is where you would keep yourself from the unlimited beauty that awaits you. So you can stay somewhere else. I mean, I could look at that wall. This is a beautiful room. Wow. Look at that fake gold up there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's an old organ here. I'll have to ask John. It looks like the pedals are broken, but I wonder if it still works. Wow. Meanwhile, who's doing that? That's an interesting question. If I'm not playing, this is where it lapses into the spiritual. And if you're a seeker, you could spend your whole life honing in on the answer to that question. If I'm talking to you, who's playing? This is the deepest root of what I found by accident. But what we're doing is, let's say, okay, Kenny, I was able to do that for 2 notes. And then you would even say, wow, that last note was so good. Whoop, drop your hands. Effortless Mastery has the only behavioral modification for musicians and other people that exists. Because only Effortless Mastery, if you start to care, if I go, oh, doing that again, you drop your hands. You're training your mind the way you train a dog. John will remember, we used to have a German Shepherd. It was a seeing eye dog. And we had him for a year, and then you have to give him back. Wow, never want to do that again. But it was service. It's where my daughter and my wife are at. But whenever I opened the door, he'd go rushing through the door. So I tried a little training one night. I opened the door, he goes rushing, I close the door, he goes slamming into the door. Go back over there, he doesn't understand. Goes back, but he's like, he can't wait. I open the door, he goes again, and he slams into the door again, but not as hard. So I said, go back. I open the door, he leaves, I close the door, but he didn't hit the door. Finally, he sat back, I opened the door, he waited. Then I opened the screen door. And then I said, you can go. You've got to train your mind. It's a good analogy or metaphor, whichever one. I'm not sure the difference between an analogy and a metaphor. Anyway, for what we do with our minds. There's no way you can control caring about this because you're an egomaniac. So shallow that you would actually value yourself as a person by something as insignificant as how you play a musical instrument. I know that's like splashing cold water on quite a few people's face. But would you rather continue to buy into the delusion, or would you rather have the beauty that you suspected was there, but you could never get there? There has to be a bridge between your philosophy and attainment, and that bridge lay in some sort of repetitive action. In this case, we start with the first step, which is, and it could be on saxophone, I'm going to try to gather a few people who have done it, and I won't lie to you. You'll find it, and you will lose it. And then I will be talking to you about how to let go of the fact you lost it, and then you found it again. And we'll go around that dance a bunch of times so that you'll recognize your own feeling of failure as being a feeling of failure. Just part of the cycle. I have never seen anybody try to attain anything close to reality without part of it being losing it. The ego is working overtime. In the program, they say, when you're working on recovery, the disease, they call it, which I call that the ego, is in the corner doing push-ups. That's awfully accurate. Anyway, it's time for a little musical, how we do it. How about a musical interlude? Well, nobody said no. Ouch. Whoa. Wow, it almost sounds like a real thing. You don't have to play like that to get that gift. You just have to, here's the minimum, at least support yourself while you're touching an instrument. The next level is, can you embrace whatever note you're playing? There are some of you out there that don't play piano at all, but you are an evolved people. So if you have a piano or a keyboard, try this. Just hit buttons and just watch your state of mind. See if you can see them all as at least being equal. And see if you can pay attention to your own sense of self-worth while you push these buttons. We devalue ourselves in the face of music because we think music is so great. That would be fine if it made us play better, but it's what gets in the way of playing better. If we're just interested in playing better, then you've got to drop this relative lack of value that you have when you approach the instrument. Now, if you want more, there is something waiting for you in sound. You don't have to be a virtuoso. Look at the music of India, for example. They call it the sa. And most of the time the tambura is tuned to fifths. If you're in the right state of mind, neurologically or spiritually or psychoanalytically or right? That's all you need. Those of you who have a keyboard, drop your ego, find a root and a fifth, and now watch yourself breathe. I think music teaches us that enlightenment is so much closer than we imagine. Because that's all you need. Now I might go, whoa. This is for a few friends out there. You need so little. One note can unlock the superconscious mind. One note can shift you from individual consciousness to universal consciousness. One note can shift you out of I cannot say everything. You don't need an edifice. You don't need a temple. You don't need a church. There it is. All you need is, like they say in program, a new pair of glasses. With another pair of glasses, every note you play is the most beautiful sound you'll ever hear. So I'm going to sort of wrap it up because I want you guys to be free to say, what about this? What about that? And I'm almost there. So you want to play better? You will. You'll play better within the first few weeks of the course. Then you'll play worse again because you're so excited that you're playing better. Just ask people that took the course. Then you'll drop that and you'll play better again. When we're done, you'll have a process that you can reapply for life. And I will say this, anyone that ever takes my course always has my support forever. Well, as long as I'm alive. Anybody that, and my students, it's not like they forget. They forget how simple it is. So you'll send me an email, Kenny, I can't find it. Oh, you just forgot how easy it is. Start over. It might be as little as that. But you're going to find it, and you're going to be there several times. And you're going to know that's it. You're going to lose it. But I guarantee you'll have found it many times. I guarantee that you'll always know what it is you're going for and how to get it. And it'll always come down to an incremental exercise that you will have to repeat. I say daily, but I wash daily, I drink a cup of coffee daily, and I brush my teeth daily. And everything else that I meant to practice, I don't. So let's just say regularly. Without repetition, don't beat yourself up if you're not getting any better at your music or at your self-love. Don't beat yourself up. Because if there's no practice, you shouldn't be getting forward anyway. So at least understand. I'm just going to show you the second step. Having achieved allowing the hand or the voice or the hand and the armature, which is a saxophone, or the hands and the feet, which is a drum. Having gotten comfortable allowing them to play one note at a time without the ego jumping in, then we try to play consecutive notes. That may look like this. Go into the space. There's nobody that couldn't do this. The only reason you would stop yourself is because you're trying to do something. But if you're just pushing the buttons, you could do this forever. The second step just asks you for the same non-involvement of the ego or the mind or the old neurology and allows the body. If I was a saxophonist, I would take a deep breath. I would blow into the instrument with an armature, but I'd let the armature do whatever it wants to do, and then I would move the fingers. If I was a drummer, I would go into, instead of going, you're not seeing, but foot, bass drum. or a hi-hat. Now, I would do this. Perilously close to being music. But as soon as I thought it was music, I dropped my hands. Becoming the instrument means the absence of more things. It's not something you add to yourself because you already have it. It's the absence of desire. It's the absence of self-judgment. It's the absence of expectations. It's the absence of respect for things that get in your way. It's the absence of hope. I love that one. Hoping gets in the way of your playing. It would be much better to play than to hope that you play well. So I think, I think you got the idea. So we're going to do a course. It starts January 29th. Sid will, I hope, be able to show. Is that what we're doing, Sid? I don't remember. There's a page, and you all will receive the page. And you would look at that. And then you would decide, do I want to invest in the possibility that I could be free of my limitations with something I care so much about, my music, playing music. And I think that's it. There's more to come, but I'll take it in the form of your questions. Sid, can someone speak? And I know that
Hey, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, great. Okay, perfect.
Right.
All right. So if anyone has questions, please go ahead and raise your hands or put it in the chat and Kenny will answer them. So about the course, I'm going to drop in the page that will take you detail what all is going to happen in this course and what Kenny's going to teach and what this is about. I'll drop it in the chat in a second and you can get all the details on that. And the course starts on June 29th.
June 29, good. Okay.
All right, Ernst, go ahead and unmute yourself and.
Yeah, it's nice if I actually hear your voices, but otherwise we were going to read the chat. But yeah, Ernst.
Hello, nice to meet you. So thank you for nice presentation. And I read your book a while ago, and it was very helpful to me. So very grateful for your work.
Welcome.
I'm not sure how to phrase the question really, but there's something with sort of musical intentionality. Like if you, let's say you want to play with a certain intention, and that could get in the way of playing, of letting go. But on the other hand, isn't there some value somehow to like, okay, I want to play with this, I want to convey something specific. See what I mean?
I understand what you're saying. I'm glad you started off with one of the best questions. How do you do anything that you intend to do if you're not trying to do anything? Is that pretty much it, Ernst?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you have to, the first part of the answer is your own contemplation. When you try to play with intention, how do you play? You don't have to answer that yet. Does it work? So the first thing is, and I guess I'm getting this answer right now, Ernst, so again, thank you for the question. You have to learn how to unburden yourself of the ego of needing to play. You know, I didn't say the most important thing. There's a surrender here. And everybody would surrender everything except this simple thing, the need to sound good. And as long as you haven't surrendered, now there are some musicians that need to sound good, and they do. But that might be 1, 2, 5% of all the people who play. The rest of the planet gets limited and oppressed by the very same thing, the need to sound good. This is not for the 1% who can play even with the worst self-image in the world, but when they put their hands down, that, or they put the instrument up, it takes over. It is the correct neurology, but most people don't have it. So we need to experience, Ernst, a long period of uncoupling our ego. That's what you mean, play with intention, although you don't think that's what you mean. Because truthfully, even the guys that talk about all the stuff you have to do, if they're great players, don't listen to what they say, see what they do. There's a trust, Ernst, that's not built on the idea that you will play well. It's built on the idea that it doesn't matter. So I would say, to try to shorten this answer, you want to have really programmed or deprogrammed and reprogrammed, that was even in the first book, a trust between you and the instrument. And when you get comfortable enough with that, then there's the other question, how much command do you have over the language? That is actually step 4. If you don't have command over the language and you want to play with that kind of intention, that's ego. To play anything that is not ready to be played is your ego sabotaging you. So let's just say for a while you don't have the, first of all, there's 2 different things, practicing effortless mastery and then just playing. The reason I say that, when you're practicing effortless mastery, you're trying to unburden yourself with these restrictions. And you're only doing that. Now, the thing is, the rest of the day, do not do effortless mastery. Just play. If you want to try, try. If you want to cry, cry. If you want to care, care. If you want to have intention, have intention. But when you're practicing effortless mastery, you're practicing the seat of liberation, the seed of freedom. And what you want to find out is if it changes that other stuff. So now I'm not doing effortless mastery. That's another pitfall that people get into. Excuse me. They say, I'm going to play with some people now, and I'm going to do effortless mastery, and they're going to think I'm so wise. Please don't do that, even though you will. The best way to do this is that you leave 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, to practice perfection with no caveats, Ernst. Then spend the rest of your day doing whatever you think. That will purify the other stuff. It will also, this is crazy, Ernst, it'll actually manifest as more successful playing from the other point of view, or intention, whatever you want to say. It'll actually improve that if you're not looking for it. Ernst, do you get it? In other words, we're going to practice the pure, I know what they have. There's a stalk, and then there's something inside the stalk. You know, that's I'm sorry, I'm not much of a farmer. You know, the seed, and then the whatever grows out of the seed. We're practicing the seed for a few minutes here, a few minutes there. The absence of intention, the absence of caring, the absence of importance, the absence of self-loathing, self-doubt, self-judgment. Wouldn't you like a little vacation from that? Right? When it comes to music. Anyway, then the rest of the day, do whatever you think. Don't try to do effortless mastery, just play. You'll either find, when you're not looking for it, that it's enlivened all that stuff. It's kind of like, I've used an analogy before, which I've never done myself. Some people run or they walk with weights on their ankles. So what's the intention there? Certainly not to be able to wear heavier shoes. When they take the weights off, they feel like skipping and jumping and running. So thank you for that question, because it allows me to tell you, I know your questions are going to help me fill in what I personally have forgotten today, because frankly, I've been a little distracted. And that is, you don't practice effortless mastery to be able to show everybody how deep and liberated you are. You practice effortless mastery for the effect it has on the rest of your life when you're not looking for it. Okay? I think we can safely move on to the next question. Thank you for that one.
Real self asks, it's easy enough not caring how we play when we're alone, but what about when we're with players more advanced than us?
Practice effortless mastery. It's like Republicans. Ask them the problem to anything. They'll tell you, cut taxes. Practice effortless mastery. And then when you go out to play with others, you might forget to care for a little while. You might notice that even though you care, something is moving within you that's not restricted by the fact that you're playing with other people. But first, ask yourself if you don't restrict yourself even when you are playing alone. If you're not, then we're going to practice. See, you have to detach yourself from the part of the brain that cares, the ego. In there, which I lovingly call the shithole. So, yeah, I can start to, well, that's a good drummer. I wonder if he's going to want to play with me again. Or that's a part of the brain. I go, oh yeah, well, I don't. I'm very, very fortunate, okay? I don't have any delusions with music. My demons are everything else. And I'm making good progress because I practice incrementally, letting go of the delusionary barriers that don't even exist. So you're practicing this stuff, and then you go to play, and you may notice, why don't I feel restrained like I usually do? Effortless mastery is a reprogramming thing. Look at it this way. I've been saying it this way too if you're a computer person. We're not changing the app. We're changing the operating system. Because the apps of self-doubt, like the self-doubt app, or I'm playing with these guys, I sure hope they like me, or, that app works on the present operating system, which tends to doubt itself anyway. Self-doubt is part of the operating system. If you build it for music at least, but you will find it spill over into your life. If you build a new operating system, so those apps don't work on that operating system. I'm about to care what they think. Whoa, I can't find it. That takes a while. It takes enough faith to at least keep practicing it, like brushing your teeth. And you'll have these moments and you'll know this is what I was looking for. Then you'll lose them. So as I already told you, don't be disappointed, But you have to reprogram it from a lot deeper than just trying not to care because you're playing with other people. And that is why you suddenly can't let go, obviously. At home, you're okay, right? And then you suddenly can't play because you're among musicians who might judge you. I mean, we can take it further, right? You have to, the whole new operating system is a possibility. You have to stay regular with it. But certainly, from practicing the first step, only, just the first step, you will have these moments where you see it from a different point of view. It's not about you. It's not about them. It's about the blessing of being able to play. Let me just go there for a second. Think about all the little boutique problems you think around playing. Who I'm playing with. I know I have a friend, I don't know if she's here, but she has a jam session every week. And the entire drama was around this jam session. So just think about all these detailed problems about music. Well, when I play with these guys, or they don't respect, or whatever you think is happening, right? What about the gratitude on any level for being able to play? If I tell you that, I'm going to guess. Everybody went, oh yeah. Right? But you're not grateful unless you satisfy the ego's demand that you're playing good. So I'm just trying to show you, there's these layers of what they call in Vedantic thinking or Hinduism. I don't like saying Hinduism because then it's a religion, and you go to a Hindu temple, they book weddings and bar mitzvahs too. But whatever the spiritual root of all these things are, you see what I mean? Then you're taking care of it at its core. You're practicing. I'll tell you what, if I said you should be grateful that you could do that, I know you can't be grateful. Try withdrawing your ego. And gratitude is not far behind. Next question. This is so fun. I hope you're having fun.
Hey, Brian, do you want to go?
Kid. And it's got to be entertaining.
Thank you.
Yes,
What-
Sid.
This is so wonderful being here today and hearing this. My question, I think from what you said earlier, might be a stage 4 question. So it's about learning the language.
I'm
It's
sorry.
not about
I'm sorry. Step 4. Stage 4 is a cancer.
step 4, whatever. Okay. Okay. Sorry, no cancer, no cancer.
Yeah, go ahead.
So like learning a language, like, let's say that I'm joining a new group and I need to learn how to play boogie woogie piano for them. And there's a language to learn and there's skill. But my tendency then is to drive myself insane with the practicing. And then I carry that over to the performance.
Right.
So
Let me just jump in
what's
there.
a sane way to practice?
Yeah, well, it's insane, but the way we live our lives with this invisible ego, not the ego we talk about, he thinks he's all that, No, the invisible ego is the attachments to everything. So I didn't get your name. What's your name? Who said that?
Brian.
Ryan. The first thing you have to understand is that from the old software or the old operating system, you're not going to learn boogie woogie anyway. I don't know if you noticed that. Or some really bastardized form that's going to make you sick. If you can't drop the need for progress, you can't make any. And let's walk it back. How do you drop the need for progress? You actually have to drop something that cares about progress, and you back it up, and you realize there's the ego again, right? But how can I beat the ego? It's beaten me every day for my whole life. You can't. The ego is smarter than you, but you can interrupt it. There's a gizmo in your chest. So what I'm saying is, Brian, we practice interrupting what we think is a fait accompli. And by the way, speaking of language, that's all the French I speak. Okay? We practice interrupting it, and then we move and you're right, Brian, it is 4th step. 4th step would mean from the same space, you have to establish that space first. Look, any note I choose. Tell me that a non-pianist couldn't do this. So first we have to change the program. We have to reprogram, change the polarity, whatever you want to call it. Then, when you'd rather be able to play from reality than worry about how good you play, then we've built a platform upon which the 3rd step I'm not going to talk about, and I'm only talking about the 4th step because you just brought that up. I can't believe I'm playing Boogie Woogie slow. That's got to be some kind of new act. I played it when I was younger, so... I can't even believe I'm that close. It must be since I was 13 that I played that. But you're not going to construct that stuff, Brian, unless you're patient enough to find the level you need to practice it at. To find the level you need to practice it on, you have to be not oppressed by self-image because you don't play it the way you want to play it. In order to not be oppressed by self-image, you have to be less influenced by ego. In order to be less influenced by ego, you have to go into the space. And how do you go into the space? One of the ways that I'm showing you today is watch that gizmo breathe. And we've got to build it out from there, Brian. If you skip those steps, then you might be saying the hippest shit to your friends, but you ain't shit. Sorry. Oh, my wife's been worrying me. Man, can you get a hold of what you're talking about? I'm working on it. But when we do a webinar, it's like vaudeville, Anyway, do you get it, Brian?
Thank you. That's very helpful. And I want to give space for other people too.
I love your term, sanely. You got to get sane. Those are the first two steps.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome. Who's next?
Hey, Bella, I see your message here. Is that the same question you had? Do you want to ask it yourself?
Sure, yeah. So I'm a vocalist, and I find a lot of the time, I play, small bars or big theaters, and I always cater like my set list or the way that I sing, uh, assuming I know what the audience wants or needs, and the same thing happens like in the recording studio, and I feel like my live performances are a way better example of what I can do over my recordings. And when I get into the studio, I can't even breathe. Like I can't even catch my breath.
There are two separate questions so far. Keep going and let's see if there's any more.
So basically, I guess what I'm getting at is, am I robbing my audiences of a true like Bella Cat show by assuming I know what I should be like, what songs I should be singing in this bar or this
Yeah, I
theater?
got you. What's your name?
It's Bella.
Bella?
Yeah.
Like Bella Bartok?
Yeah.
What a beautiful name. Bella, you're robbing them if you think about the shit you're talking about right now. There's nothing wrong with programming your performance to meet what you think your audience is. The question is, how liberated are you when you then perform that tune sheet? And the second question was about being in this. You're telling me, I get it. You get inspired and you resonate because people are in there listening to you. That naturally makes going into the studio, it can make it a very dry experience. So they're two completely different situations. The answer to your first question is make a set list based on what you think will succeed. But then you stop thinking about it, Bella. And I'll tell you something, I hope you take the course because my favorite work is with vocalists. Vocalists have been completely had the power cut out from underneath them through a few different things. The typical pathway for vocalists now is to go to music school, which I think was a really bad idea for everybody, to tell you the truth. Hard to say that because I'm employed by one. And what happens is, I don't know if you went to jazz school, but then you're in these ensembles. And the singer is, at best, an appendage because everybody cares about their own solos while they're learning the solo. And the singer is trained to think of themselves as not really that important. And this I've seen a trend for all my life, decades. Then there's this thing, maybe you can identify, Bella, of musicians that are passive aggressive, sort of like airline stewardesses. That's if you're in economy. If some of you are in first class, I get it. But in economy, I know, I've noticed typically, the airline stewardess is passive aggressive, meaning she's not going to do any more than she has been assigned to do, but she's going to make you think that if there's anything you need, right? Like if you push that button, you're going to sit there for a long time. And then when she gets there, I wish I was an actor. She'd go like, is there a problem? She hasn't done anything that you can complain about. Well, did you ever find, Bella, I want you to answer this, that you have musicians that although they can't be busted for their attitude, you do feel that they don't really respect you like you wish they did. Let me just stop there. Does that happen to you, Bella, or are you lucky enough to have a band that you're our brothers and sisters and theys and whatever?
I definitely understand both sides because I spent 10 years in the music industry performing concerts and then I went to music school.
Oh,
So I got to know you through Selkirk College. We did like a workshop with you. I'm not sure if you remember in Nelson, British Columbia, and it was amazing, and that's why I'm here. But yeah, I totally understand, and I actually finally feel like after 15 years that I found a group of people that extremely respect me, and
okay, thank you. Because you knew what to look for.
yeah,
There are singers that will devalue themselves in order to be acceptable to the musicians. Bella knows what I'm talking about. The worst thing you can do if you're a singer is go to the musician and say, well, what would you like to play? Don't do it. It's not like they'll appreciate your generosity. They'll continue to be more self-indulgent. Now, not all musicians, but you see what I'm saying. So, Bella, the outer situation is a real situation. Finding musicians that really support you. The outer situation is, do I find a set that people will like? The outer situation is getting gigs and all that. But there's nothing like creating an inner support that then changes all that. And you've got enough of it just from our one, or you've got a good amount of it just from our one workshop, because you don't do that to yourself anymore. If you don't get the right music, or if there's singers here right now, I would like to give you a free piece of advice. If you're playing with musicians and you just don't get that feeling that they support you, fire their asses and get some other musicians. Okay? Now I have a lot more to say about that, but I consider myself first and foremost a feminist, and right behind that, an honorer of singers. And I've had my episodes too, where I let my ego ruin some really fantastic situations. But I learned, you know. So, Bella, I guess I would say you could develop a strength from within that kind of makes those things vanish. It's actually in another world called transcendental. Do these situations exist? Yeah. Are there musicians that have a chip on their shoulder? And it really says more about them than it does about you. They're not happy. They weren't successful. They wanted to be successful. They had a dream, and it turned out to, can I just get a gig, you know? There are musicians my age, and God bless them. They're going out and playing gigs that they didn't want to play when they were 25. Even there, that musician can break through to gratitude. But that's beyond the scope of this one thing. All I can tell you that relates to the course and what you learned is that, Bella, you can develop an inner voice. That all you do is take a deep breath and you let that inner voice come through whatever mechanism goes through the throat and the larynx or whatever. And that's the last decision you'll ever have to make. And a lot of answers will be given when you, and now I'm going to sound like one of those Buddhist koans, but it's really true. A lot of answers will be given when you're not looking for them. To build your, look, it could be just self-acceptance. I mean, come on. If we don't have that, I think that's possible. Embracing whatever comes from the self, I think that's doable. If you don't have self-acceptance, self-embracement's not much of a possibility. Now they talk about self-love. That's a deep ask, okay? I'm working on that. But see, everything, Bella, is incremental. And just thinking that your epiphanies should be large and that they will stay forever is another trick of the ego. It's going to be incremental. And if you approach, let's say, the first and second step as a vocalist, the way you brush your teeth, all you can look forward to, Bella, is increased inner and outer power, more support for your notes, more gigs where, and I have a lot to say about this, but it'll be over the course of time. You would bring this up in the course, and I would talk about Judy Garland. Sometimes it's pain that motivates singers, particularly, to transcend the ego of needing to sound good. But something has to be more important than just the need to sound good. Otherwise, you're in a really little, not unimportant, but you know the word. I'm looking impotent, but that's not the word because it always has that other meaning. You know what I mean? You're in a box over something that was a gift from wherever, music. Here's a sentence you guys can try on, okay? I don't want you to tell me, I want you to contemplate it. I'd rather play badly and love my playing than play good and criticize it. Just think about it. And it's a trick statement. Okay, next question.
Hey, Mitchell, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Kenny, Mitch here. Thanks so much for the session. I think you already filled in a lot of the blanks with particularly Ernst's question at the beginning, but I think, you spoke a bit about caring, right? And caring, the absence of caring. And obviously, you know, caring is definitely something that the ego could creep into quite easily. But my question is,
I made a comment there before I forget it. We
yeah.
know you care. You wouldn't be here if you didn't care. You wouldn't have gone to music school if you didn't care. But caring is not valuable. In fact, it's a bug, it's a virus if it happens at the moment you're about to play. Continue, Mitch.
Yeah, thanks for that. So I was going to say, what does, I guess, like healthy caring for music look like? But maybe more importantly is, can caring for music coexist with the space or in and around that space? How would you
Hey,
describe
let's
that?
redefine. You're not talking about caring about music. You're talking about caring about how you play,
Potentially.
right?
Yeah.
That's not hard to find. The problem is it started with caring about music. Just think of a little kid and they went, right? But then you start to study, and the odds are, I don't know, 90%. Nobody's ever done a survey. I don't know how you do this test, but I want to say 90% of the people, as they get educated about the right way to play, lose the ability to play, not the potential what playing is. So let's first understand, caring about music? Absolutely. Caring about how you play? Absolutely not. Is there any more to your question, Mitch?
Yeah, I was quite interested in, like, does gratitude come into, caring about music? Is that an example of caring being, a healthy thing in and around the space, for example?
No, but gratitude is a great way to replace caring about how you play. And I'm putting it again that way, Mitch, because you don't realize it, or maybe you do. You don't mean caring about music. Everybody cares about music. Anybody can care about music. It doesn't become a problem until you care about how you play. But one thing that they teach in program, they teach it in spiritual paths, they teach it everywhere. Gratitude can replace a host of other sins. Gratitude can eradicate the ego. The more gratitude, the more you can and it's a neurological program. Now, I find I can't summon gratitude, but in the absence of caring, I start to feel grateful. Mitch, did you dig that?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the problem with gratitude is I don't believe I can apply it. I've tried, like affirmations, I'm so grateful for, and I'm sure they have some value. Didn't work for me personally. But I was stunned to find, and for me the problem is not music because I never did care that much. But in life I've been tremendously hung up. And I've been working on it for many years. Once I got past the obvious solution everybody goes to, drugs, unfortunately, they don't end up being the solution, they become the problem. But after that, it's been a search. How do I unburden myself from things that don't even exist? Because I am. That's actually a mantra. I am. And that's all you need to know. Ramana Maharshi said you don't have to meditate, and that's not my guru, it doesn't matter. I love it. You don't have to meditate, you don't have to chant, you don't have to put on special clothes, you don't need a puja, and you don't have to go to India, and you don't have to even know about a single holiday from a single spiritual source. This is Ramana Maharshi. Just keep asking yourself, who are you? Who are you? I am studying a lot of things, but I would say behind it, that's the most powerful of all the things I'm studying. In the absence of knowing who you are, you reach for everything. Everything's got to satisfy that insatiable ego. I'm not trying to sound like, but you see, this is still how you play better. If it wasn't about how you played better, Mitch, I wouldn't be talking about it. It's all grown in terms of interrelationship. So Mitch, I assume you read Effortless Mastery. Please read Becoming the Instrument. That shows exactly these lessons, but they become crystal clear should you want to apply them to your life. Is there any other part to it, Mitch? Otherwise, I'll ask for another question.
That's all good. Thank you so much, Kenny.
Thank you for that succession of questions. Got some more, Sid? We're good.
Yes, sir.
I'm good.
So another person asks, silly question, but if you saw Soul, a Disney Pixar film, did you feel any connection to the space they represented?
I have a joke about that, but who knows? In this era of woke, I don't know if it's okay. My only problem with the movie Soul is why did that guy, who looks like Dizzy Gillespie, by the way, why does he turn white after he's dead? Did anybody notice that? I'm sorry. Oh, God, you know, this woke thing. I have to say something about woke. Beyond anything else, it's bad English. Okay. Now, no, I thought it was great. I thought there was a lot of, you know what was better? What was that movie about how the mind works? Anybody know? They're all in the mind, the ego, the this, the that. Does anybody remember the movie?
Inside something.
Inside something.
Yeah.
That movie is the truth. Now, this was great. I got to tell you, by the way, the club looks a lot like the Village Vanguard in New York. It was a great movie. It had a lot. And what I also like is that it tuned in this country, America. Some of you may not be in America who are watching this. But I got to tell you, a little sidebar, by far, America's most respected or the most profound contribution to the world is jazz. By far. It's certainly not McDonald's. It's certainly not TV. Maybe Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood, the problem with Hollywood is that it completely presented a thing of America that everybody admires, but it's like, in fact, doesn't exist. But jazz, the stories of jazz, the people that gave up their lives for the possibility of playing it, the people that threw their lives away in the disappointment that they couldn't play it. Jazz, and that's based on a 400-year crime. So, you know, what I am really amazed at these days is the stunning contradiction of life. You know? So, I forget the question. Oh, yeah. That movie, Soul, I liked that it had everybody thinking about jazz for a while. If you're an American, I know you can't listen to it, or you can, but you should be extremely proud of it. Okay, next question.
Oh, the movie is Inside Out. I just looked it up.
Inside Out, actually, if you haven't seen it, when I compare the things I've been studying, certain yogic stuff, certain Jesus stuff, but sort of, anyway, can't really talk, not really that Jesus, but everything I'm, program, oh man. Program, Bill W., was God's gift to America to try to cure us of religion. Oh boy, here I go. No, but the way that movie Inside Out works, everything I've studied, that's what they made a cartoon character of. And it's just amazing. I got to watch it again. Next question.
Alessandra, do you want to go?
Yes, thank you. Hi, Kenny. Thank you so much for your books. My question is about step 1. So I do your meditation, the latest one with the nectar thing. And I feel the golden nectar. I mean, I get into the meditation. But when I put my stick, I play drums, on the snare, my hand doesn't want to move. Like what I really feel to do is not to move anything. I just feel like staying. And in order to do something, to play a note, I have to actually move my hand. And then I remember you say, well, imagine that somebody's moving it for you. And I imagine it. but then if I don't, I know that I'm moving it. Like if I don't keep moving it, my hand,
Gotcha.
what she wants to do, she just want
Can
to
I
stay
finish
there.
here, Alessandra?
Yes,
If
can I hear
this
you
is
now?
in the book, if you say someone's moving my hand and it's not, then move it and pretend that somebody did.
Yes, but should be always, I thought it was just to start. So maybe eventually I would feel like my hand will just move alone.
Okay, well, let's say you were in my class. I would do an exercise right now with you that everybody would participate in, which is without drums, practicing looking over there and just making sure the hand continues to move, because you're hung up on a little bit of, is this really happening or not?
Okay.
So, watch.
I mean,
This is how you
okay.
do it, Alessandra. Boom. King. King. Boom. Forget about that part of it. Just pick the hand up and hit something else. If you're doing step one, hit one thing at a time. And if you're starting to care, put the sticks down. Does that answer?
Okay.
You can continue.
I mean, so I still did it, given that my hand doesn't want to move. I said, well, I need to do something. So I do and I went to step 2, counting. You suggested to count back from 981, 980, so that my mind thinks about something else. So I do that.
If your
But I
mind,
feel like,
if your
yes.
mind's thinking about something else, drop the sticks. Oh, you mean your mind's thinking about something else while your hands are moving?
Yes.
Good.
So I think I try to do that, like watching my breath or counting, but I think I know that my mind is really aware what my hands are doing. I mean, aware in a very deep way. Yes.
Excuse me. What's your favorite TV show? Or
I
cable
don't.
show?
I don't watch. I don't know.
Watch
Like
any video?
right now, I'm not watching. Right now, I'm not watching anything. Sorry.
Okay, well, my favorite show is West Wing.
Okay.
7th season. No, I'm not saying you should watch West Wing. If you wanted to believe in America, just watch West Wing over and over again. What we were supposed to be is fantastic. Anyway,
Okay.
if you don't have a show that you like to watch, it's good if you already watched it a bunch of times. So just stare at it. Now, another way, put a book up there. Are you more of a reader than a binge watcher? Right?
Okay. No, I can think of shows that I used to watch a lot. So I can think of that.
Put it on, put headphones on, so that the drums don't drown out the show. And while you're watching the show, and you're hearing the show more than you're hearing the drums, you're not conscious of hitting the drums, Alessandra. You're conscious of moving.
I see. Okay.
If you have a problem with that, then practice away from the drums, moving.
Okay. Okay.
Enjoy the movement of movement.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
Then go
I'll
to
do
the
that.
drums and see if you can not be distracted by the fact that when you move the hands, they hit things.
Okay.
You'll get it. Don't get hung up on any one part of it. Here's another
Okay.
way to get it. I'm a robot. I'm a robot, but I've got this one elastic part in me here. I'm a robot, but it's got this one elastic part that breathes, right? Now the robot goes, play with it, Alessandra.
All right.
If I said that to you when you were a child, you would do it immediately.
You're right. Okay. I'm just
That's a
overthinking it.
complement of answers that should help you going forward.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. How was
Hey,
it?
Robbie. Oh, sorry. Hey, Robbie, there are messages here. Do you want to go?
Maybe I should play something?
Can I ask you one question?
Of course.
It's so important. It's so important. The 5-finger exercise, I've read the book, I've got the audio book, I've delved into this deeply. Ernst and Mitch answered a lot of things were answered there. But when you're doing a five finger practice, you require it seems in the book when I'm following the meditation, it says you should do that meditation, the I'm a master meditation before you do it, helps get you that. That's not true.
Oh, you don't have to do the meditation before you do the 5-finger exercise.
So you don't need to, because I'm like concentrating so heavily on getting somebody to lift my thumb and then drop it and then lift my second finger and drop. It's not that at all.
No.
Oh my God.
So I'll show you. You got the keyboard there, John? Yeah. When you can't, it's the only problem is that you're hearing something. I didn't get your name.
I'm Robbie Buchanan.
Robbie. Oh, Robbie. Hey, man.
Hey.
The problem is when you press a button, you hear a note, and that triggers the ego. Okay? I don't care how you want to put it. That's what's happening. So to really get the sensation, Robbie, close the lid. Bring the hand up here, lift the thumb, tap, lift the second finger, tap.
Oh.
Now, without hearing a note, you'll get the intention of this step so easily. And it also teaches you a little something. It's not hard to press a button. It's that once it makes a sound, it triggers a whole neurology about music, Robbie, that actually doesn't exist. Does that answer it for you?
That's astounding. I've been doing this for a month and a half the wrong way. I've been thinking about, I've been trying to meditate while I'm doing it, getting in the space and doing it from
meditation. Pew. I'm a lousy meditator. But I will say this, a lot of people got it wrong for a lot longer than a month and a half. Also, doesn't matter, Robbie. These exercises started as me working with someone like you. Hey, man, you're probably a good player. Let's get the shit out of the way so you can play the way you sometimes play, right? Sometimes you play and you don't know exactly why. This is also in the book, but it also comes up in the course. Let's say you have a great night. Wow, it's all happening, right? How's the next night?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there's more that divides us than unites us, but the ego unites us all. I already know how that is. And for that, I use the example of the dartboard. You throw a dart, nobody's an expert at darts, but everybody once in a while hits a bullseye. So you're there, and you're in the bar or whatever, and you go, boom. And you know what? You knew the way the arm went, you felt the body, you knew it was going to hit a bullseye. Did you ever have that experience, Robbie?
Yep.
Where
Definitely.
does the next dart go? Right.
On the wall.
On the wall, below the dartboard. This is human nature. The great thing is, I don't believe it's the deepest human nature. It is the human nature that people have acquired in the era, which could be thousands of years, of intelligence. The more humans moved away from being animals, probably the more boutique problems they had. But you also made music. I mean, what's your take on humanity? Don't tell me. It doesn't matter. Effortless mastery is about being in this moment. And no matter where you're being drawn out, like the door's open for the dog, you can practice these steps and you're right back into the simplicity of this moment. I don't know you're playing, Robbie, but I can tell you without knowing you, it's a lot simpler than you think it is. Once you drop the need to sound good.
That's hard.
No, it takes practice.
Okay.
First 2 steps.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. This is thrilling. I'm having such a good time. And I got to tell you why. I hope you take the course, but whatever.
Definitely.
Luckily,
Definitely.
I've let go of, I spent 60 of my 71 years. No, because I was probably okay when I was a baby. But somewhere in those first 10 years, I developed a great fear of consequences. I don't know why. I don't remember anything bad happening, but the rest of my adult life, there's so many things I didn't do because I said, what if they don't turn out right? And in the last 5 to 10 years, I finally learned in my life what I've been working on, what I knew in music. The first time I played. If you remember the book, my parents, I went to this neighbor's house and the father played piano. And truly, I was amazed by the music, but I didn't mind seeing how he was the center of attention. Now, if you like being the center of attention and music has something to do with that, please admit it. Stop thinking you're more noble than that. And embrace it. There's nothing wrong with the way you are. It's only your canceling of the way you are is the only problem. So anyway, I go home, I tell my parents, get me a piano. And they get a Wurlitzer upright with an option to buy. And I go in there, and back then it was AM radio. And I find a song, I remember, I think it was, I don't know, it doesn't matter. And I pick out the melody instantly. And I walk into the kitchen, and I say to my mom, good news, Mom, I won't be needing those lessons. I just figured out how to play. Now, a child is capable of such truth. But it gets educated out of us almost 100%.
Mm-hmm.
How many people have said to you, Robbie, gee, I wish I never stopped those piano lessons when I was a kid.
Yeah.
The miracle is experienced the first time you touch an instrument. And then the education, unfortunately, it's likely that in being educated and play the right notes, you'll lose the truth of what it was. And that's why 99% of people who play music have not yet gotten the rasa, the nectar, the unqualified jolt of Shakti, or whatever word you like, that comes from a single note. And I am grateful. We're talking about grateful. I don't know why I had this message. It wasn't even my problem. I had the arrogant assumption that I could play. And then I went through some shit. When I went to college, I found there were other people who were talented. But they did something I could never do. They practiced. Now I felt like killing myself. I thought I could get by on a free pass. I could be as inadequate in every other subject in the world, and all I got to do is this, you know. And you're going to think I'm wonderful. And then all of a sudden there's these other musicians around, and not only are they talented, but they practice. Well, I'll tell you, man, I've gone through my shit, but everything I ever, here's my gift besides my talent, which is really incredible when it comes to music. But here's my other gift, which is really freaky. Every time I figure something out, of course with help, gurus, teachers, spirits, books, program, whenever I figure something out, it goes right into my teaching and turns out to be a new feature to help people liberate themselves from the problem they come to me for, that they have never really experienced. They suspect there's something else there, but they can't get to it. Maybe they got to it a couple of times in their life. And that's another thing I talk about. If you had one of those nights, you still remember, you may not remember the date, but you remember where you were. You remember who you were playing with. That's how much more important one of those nights is than the rest of the nights. Effortless mastery is the practice incrementally, the steady movement incrementally towards that becoming your normal experience. Will you get there totally? I don't know, because I don't know how many days you'll live between today to death day. That's what I call it, by the way. Why do we say birthday and we don't say death day? But if you practice something, Robbie, you'll find freedom and precision, because a lot of precision's there. Maybe a lot of you can relate to this. Did you ever go somewhere and you can't play something and you know how to play? That's the power of the ego. With no ego, at least everything you already could play, you'll always play. That's the third step, by the way. But you've got to get the foundation, the first two steps. Otherwise, you won't have the basis of self-acceptance to be able to endure the dangerous territory of practicing things. Or even just the day-to-day, I know I can play this, what happened to it? Someone said, I'm fine alone, and then I play with people. not too good of a thing to have if you ever expect to play in front of people, right? Effortless Mastery is a deprogrammer of all that, replaces it with the truth. You don't have to find gratitude. You'll find gratitude starts to appear when you remove the other delusions.
Yeah.
If nothing else, you're grateful that you're not doubting yourself anymore. I'm grateful that I played and I did my next move, and I know a lot of you relate to this. My next thought was, what should I do next? No, don't do that. It's so derivative. Oh God, that's such a cliche. You know, am I speaking anybody's mind here? So then the liberation says, do this.
Nice, nice.
Thank you, Robbie. Whatever version of that you're ready to play, when you get the delusions out of the way, you'll rise to the level you're at. Just like you drop an object that floats into the water and it rises to the surface. And the only thing you can lose that is not being satisfied with what that level is. You don't have the luxury of being unsatisfied with yourself and then the ability to get any better. It doesn't come from what they told you. Otherwise, we take lessons in being more unsatisfied. No, it's the opposite of what you were told. By developing acceptance of where I'm at, then it doesn't matter what you play. And from there, you can progress. But as long as you wake up every day vaguely wishing you were better than you are, in whatever way, I think, and it becomes a very tolerable kind of dissatisfaction with your playing or your life. It's tolerable because that's all we know, so we get used to it. Some of us live and die, and we call that having lived. And some of us are on a path to see if we can't change the balance of that. Some of us don't know that there's such a path, and some of us don't recognize that being unsatisfied with yourself is really wasting so much of what it's given. And then some of us kill. You know, I studied basically based on the Vedas or Kashmir Shaivism, and one of the things that they talk about, of course not exclusively, is that everything you do is a search for God. If we put it on that level for a second. So it's very hard to understand that a person killing another person is searching for God. I mean, I'm not there. I'm at the point of buying it. I buy it. But it depends on how deep you want to go. This course certainly shouldn't be denying yourself the beauty and gift of music that's waiting to happen in you if you'll just get out of the fucking way. We come back to the original purpose of effortless mastery. Can I get out of the way? When you do that, you'll find nothing matters. I don't care who you are, spending 5 minutes a few times a day, Bella as a singer, you take deep breaths. That's the only thing you do. Then you run that breath through the larynx or whatever the hell. I need a throat scientist here right now. Whatever the thing that makes a sound. And you just run it through that for 5 minutes. You imagine it's not even you doing it? If you stay regular with that, it'll change your life. And it'll certainly change your singing. But people won't stay with it. That's why I think the course commits you to invest in you. It takes more than a good book to change me. It takes more than a very entertaining webinar to change me. It takes a repetition, and I will admit, I have always needed a guide. No guide, no progress for me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's pretty universal. Anyway, there we are.
Thank you.
You know, we're almost there. It's 5 of 5. And the catering hall, I'm going to make a joke now. The afternoon affair is almost over. They got us set up for the wedding for nighttime. Those of you who played weddings and bar mitzvahs and catering halls. You know, I don't call it Hinduism. I don't call it Christian mysticism. I don't call it I call it Long Island Jewism. Because I'm from Long Island, and I was born Jewish, and this shit is coming out of my mouth. And that's jazz.